Hello everyone, I'm Javier Cifuentes-Faura from the University of Murcia in Spain. It is an honor to participate in this conference as a keynote speaker. Thank you very much to the organization for this invitation. Today we will talk about higher education with the lecture entitled Policies to Improve the Education System, Detecting Student Concerns in Higher Education, in collaboration with Dr. Úrsula Faura Martínez and Dr. Matilde Lafuente Lechuga. The world situation is changing at an accelerated pace in terms of new forms of work organization, climate change, depletion of natural resources, loss of biodiversity, or modification of ecosystems. Along with these problems, others have arisen due to COVID-19 and more recently to the invasion of Ukraine, such as the energy and economic crisis. All this generates a great uncertainty that can become a threat to be able to live a full life. Young people are no strangers to these concerns. Students and young people worries have actually increased recently, particularly in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. Aspects such as mental health, the high cost of living, the need to reevaluate the way of working, or the fight against climate change are among the main concerns of young people. All these issues are the major challenges facing a generation in constant transformation. The survey conducted by Deloitte across 46 countries between November 2021 and January 2022, together with qualitative interviews in April 2022, shows these concerns among Gen Zs and Millennials. The top concerns are cost of living 29%, climate change 24%, unemployment 20%, mental health 19%, and sexual harassment 17%. In Spain, the current crisis that is unfolding worldwide is intensely affecting the economy and society. Both the main economic indicators and those referring to inequality, the risk of poverty and social exclusion, and the standard of living have been negatively influenced. There has been a loss of purchasing power of households, with a stagnation of private consumption in a context of energy crisis and inflation, decreasing the household savings rate, so that many families do not have adequate liquidity to compensate for the loss of purchasing power of their income. All of this is reflected in the concerns of Spaniards who, according to the October 2022 barometer on the Sociological Research Center in Spain, place the economic crisis as Spain's #1 problem. Unemployment is consolidated as the country's second problem, and healthcare as the fourth national problem. Political problems are in third place. At this point, environmental problems falls to eighth place. In the previous month, it was the fifth problem, as Spaniards prioritize economic policies over environmental ones. This barometer also reflects an increasing concern about the Ukrainian war. The list of personal concerns is also headed by the economic crisis, followed by healthcare, unemployment, problems related to the quality of employment, education, and rising energy prices. On the other hand, the health crisis caused by COVID-19 has put health at the top of the population's concerns. In this context, it was decided to conduct a survey among Spanish university students in order to respond to the objectives of this work. To know the students' level of concern about these problems that may condition their current life, and to analyze whether these concerns may affect their academic performance, distinguishing by gender and age. One of the main concerns of young people is the steadily rising high cost of living. Half of young people claim to live day to day and are worried that they will not be able to meet their expenses. Another problem and concern of young people is unemployment and the difficulty of finding a quality and stable job. Unemployment has a psychological and social impact among young people and can generate a decrease in self-esteem and cause physical and mental health problems. Youth unemployment can generate feelings of loneliness and lack of social acceptance, which can cause them problems of social exclusion and depression. Low wages and the high cost of living also make it impossible for young people to emancipate, with young women being more likely to have casual unemployment and worse working conditions. Young people's perception of inequality has increased, and in addition, a large proportion of them claim not to be confident of being able to retire. Many young people have also left jobs due to poor pay conditions, the search for work-life balance, and opportunities to grow professionally. Young women are more vulnerable than men in the labor market are, and are more likely to face precarious situations compared to men. Mental health is another major concern for young people. Stress and anxiety are some other main problems they suffer from. Mental health and well-being are increasingly relevant in the daily lives of young people, especially since the COVID-19 pandemic. Young people also tend to show great concern for the environment, highlighting actions against climate change as a priority in their model of understanding the future, although few are optimistic about current strategies to curb environmental degradation and protect the environment around us. Sexual harassment is another issue of concern for young people, especially due to the rise of new technologies, which are used as a tool for violence in the form of cyberbullying, with some young people normalizing abusive behaviors such as control or insults. Also, the recent war conflict in Ukraine has led to a change of action in society thinking and among young people, with all being more alert to possible repercussions in the rest of the world, but also engaging with greater frequency in cooperation and aid activities. Added to all these concerns of young people are the consequences caused by the COVID-19 pandemic in the educational system. They have had to learn to manage the time differently, which may have led to greater confusion. Girls have generally been more anxious than boys and have suffered higher levels of worry and anxiety. For students to successfully cope with these problems during the pandemic, factors such as well-being, engagement and belonging, motivation, and self-efficacy have been key. In order to respond to the objectives set out in this work, a survey was conducted at the beginning of the 22-23 academic year and disseminated among all Spanish universities. Students from universities in Spain were contacted via email with a link to access a survey and fill it in. The survey covers the three dimensions of sustainable development: the environmental, economic, and social situation, and reflects the current concerns of young people. The following questions were asked. Question number 1. Level of concerns about climate change. Number 2. Level of concern about price escalation. 3. About the energy crisis. 4. About the labor situation. 5. About the war in Ukraine. 6. About mental health. And 7. About sexual harassment. All these previous questions are formulated using a Likert scale with 5 values, being 1 not at all worried, up to 5 very worried. An 8th question is posed in the survey. Do you think the current situation may influence your academic performance? This variable is measured through a Likert scale between 1 does not influence to 5 influences a lot. The sample consists of 4,707 Spanish university students. 45.2% are men and 54.8% are women. Of the total number of students enrolled in the university system in the 2020-2021 academic year, 55.6% were women, so the sample maintains the structure of the Spanish university with respect to gender. The age growth in intervals is shown in the table, with the largest growth, with just over 41% being students between 20 and 20 years of age. The 38.2% are students between 17 and 19 years of age, 11.8% between 23 and 25 years of age, and the remaining 8.6% are those older than this age. Slightly more than 50% of students indicate being very concerned about the current employment situation, Q4, and the invasion of Ukraine, Q5. In a similar percentage are also those who are very concerned about mental health, Q6. About 40% of respondents express great concern about climate change, Q1. Sexual harassment, Q7, is the item about which they are most indifferent. In addition, more than 60% are very concerned about the price hikes that are taking place, Q2. Taking into account the students' gender, women show a higher degree of concern than their male counterparts in all items except the one referring to the energy crisis. The greatest difference is found in variable Q7, where women are most sensitive to sexual harassment, with an average of 3.63 compared to 2.31 for men. Men are more concerned about the employment situation and the consequence of the war in Ukraine. To analyze whether the differences observed by sex and age groups are significant, an analysis of variance is performed taking into account the possible interaction between the factors. There is no interaction at 5% between sex and age in question Q1, Q2, and Q7 that refer to environmental problems, price situation, and sexual harassment, respectively. With respect to gender, except in question Q3, energy situation, there are differences between men and women. In all the questions asked, there are significant differences according to age groups. Women are more concerned than men about environmental issues regardless of age. There is no interaction between the factors, and these differences are significant. By age group, there are also differences in this appreciation. The youngest students are the most worried, and this decreases as age increases. There are no differences between age groups younger than 25 years. However, those older than 25 years show significant differences with the other groups. Regarding concern about the escalating prices that are occurring, women show greater concern than men regardless of age, and this increases greatly with age, from an average of 3.05 for the youngest to 4.36 for those over 25 years of age. There is also no interaction between age and gender on the issue of mental health. Women are more concerned than men. Concern increases slightly with age, and after the age of 25, it begins to decline. For the rest of the issues, there is interaction between gender and age. Regarding the energy crisis, Q3, in the younger age group, men are more concerned than women, but this situation is reversed in the other age groups, growing with age, with hardly any differences by gender for those over 25 years of age. The employment situation, Q4, is an issue about which students are very concerned, especially older students. Up to the age of 22, concern is higher among women, but from the age of 23 onwards, it is men who have a higher average. Both the concern for the war in Ukraine and for mental health is quite high, with women having averaged close to 4.2, while in men the tendency is decreasing. The last question of the questionnaire Q8 is directed at the influence they think the current situation may have on their academic performance. In general, they think that this situation will not affect their performance much, mean 2.48 out of 5, although women consider that it will affect them more than men, mean 2.6 versus 2.33. In addition, the older they get, the more it affects them. Analyzing the correlation between average concert and performance, the correlation for women is 0.74 compared to 0.48 for men. By age, the older the age, the more the different concerts analyzed affect academic performance. If all of them are taken into account, price escalation is what affects performance the most, regardless of being male or female. The second most influential factor for women is the employment situation, while for men it's mental health. It should be noted that concern about sexual harassment is not significantly correlated with performance in men, while for women it's a problem that influences their performance. By age, those over 25 years of age are the most affected by concern about any of the issues raised, mainly the employment situation followed by escalating prices. The other age groups are most affected by concerns about prices. Climate change is considered to be the element that affects them the least, except for the youngest group who recognize that it is sexual harassment. And now we go with the main conclusion of this work. The world situation is constantly changing and we are facing problems such as the depletion of natural resources or the loss of biodiversity. These problems are compounded by others such as the COVID-19 pandemic, the invasion of Ukraine, or the energy and economic crisis. Young people's concerns have increased in recent years and they live with greater uncertainty on a daily basis. In order to evaluate the degree of concern among university students and to be able to offer policies, a survey was conducted among Spanish university students. More than 60% of the students are concerned about the high inflation and the escalation of prices that is taking place. More than 50% of students say that they are very concerned about the current employment situation and the invasion of Ukraine, followed by mental health. Around 40% also express great concerns about climate change. Among the issues analyzed, they are less concerned about sexual harassment. Women show greater concern than men in all the variables analyzed except for the energy crisis, demonstrating that they are more aware of the problems of society and the concerns that surround us. Men are mainly concerned about the employment situation and the consequence of the war in Ukraine. The biggest difference by gender is in sexual harassment. Men are much less concerned than women, showing the need for more sex education for men, and thus to eradicate gender violence. From educational and political institutions, we recommend carrying out frequent action campaigns and making viable free telephone numbers and assistance in order to achieve zero violence by 2030, thus complying with Sustainable Development Goal number 5. Women are also more concerned than men about environmental issues. To encourage greater environmental concern in men, it would be advisable for the evaluation of students to carry out mixed group work on sustainability, in which boys and girls can give each other feedback on their knowledge. By age group, the youngest students are the most concerned about the invasion of Ukraine and mental health. The students believe that the current situation affects their academic performance, with concerns about rising prices and the unemployment situation being the most important. Once all the students' concerns are known and analyzed, it is necessary to act. All the psychological and social costs linking to the concerns and problems of young people are also associated with potential economic costs, health costs of treatment, promotion of social integration, sustainability of the pension system. In addition, the system of youth unemployment implies the possible loss of new talent, as many of them will migrate in search of better conditions, implying losses of the country in terms of human capital and talent. Therefore, political organizations and educational institutions should be more aware of the concern of the current generations and offer solutions. The pandemic-induced labor market crisis and the energy crisis and inflation resulting from the Ukraine conflict also call for urgent action, as the potential impacts are greatest among youth groups and women. Governmental and educational organizations might work together to set up a joint shock plan that would allow young people to enter the workforce by setting up contracts with businesses that would enable them to complete paid internships during the final year. Furthermore, the university system ought to encourage a closer focus on the student body by providing mental health and counseling services to enhance students' well-being and build their social and emotional resilience. This is the end of the presentation. Thank you so much for your attention. You can see on the screen my email, so if you have any question, don't hesitate to contact me. Thank you.